she thought it was like, kinda like boxing in Old Town, and she was gonna be on
Main
the
Street's
outside
gonna
of
be
that
open.
box.
Main Street's gonna be open.
Gotcha.
They're not gonna, it's just gonna go from corner to corner and jump on this side of the street to go to Mockingbird.
Okay.
For the, whatever they, sponsoring that event there for the judge. And the first one will be in front of Yuki and them social
From
check.
like 11 to
Yeah, something like
noon,
that.
something like that. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, Rome's good.
Can the public
Yeah,
do
they've been
this,
there a
or
while
they could
now.
just have to come view it?
It's online.
I don't know if they had here, I don't know if
It's
they had
online.
one.
I knew that, 'cause like I hadn't seen
You
it.
bring your own in at one
Yeah,
point, I
it's-
hadn't been there in a while. I picked up something like lasagna
Yeah, let's go
recently.
there.
Food's good. The lunch.
Maybe this will be ready to go
You know, I haven't been up there
before.
for lunch yet.
That was the only
When I
thing,
mean-
'cause
But they had like a trifecta type of thing, three
all
different
the
types
way.
of Italian. It was like $10, $12 or something. Again, before our inflation.
Right.
So, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's always
motion
got
approved
good
for
pizza.
Saturday,
But really,
10:30 to 1:30 on Second Street, State Street, Main Street. So we're not doing it? We're not doing that?
Yeah,
In
we
New
shut
Orleans?
down from corner to State Street. We're gonna shut State Street down.
Okay.
And it's just,
it's got like Chicago
they do
stuff.
this event there,
It's
Yuki.
just that middle block.
Places that
Yeah,
come
and
New
then
York,
it's gonna-
yeah,
it's
or
gonna
deep
be-
dish.
There's one
After
place
that's
called
over, then they'll go and shut down the other, but Main Street's gonna stay open.
Okay.
Amore.
Amore?
Just try to,
Now, you gotta order
that
from
big group and all right there.
Is that how long it takes to cook it?
Yeah.
Keep traffic from
Amore.
turning up each one of those events.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We went to Mid-City Pizza
That
last,
doesn't affect the mileage.
over the weekend.
He'll come
Uh-huh.
down,
Pretty good.
State
Amore.
right there.
Amore,
and
West
Venice.
Battery,
to, you go there.
off Clear.
Oh, that's the.
Not blocking coverage anyway.
Let me think about this for a second. West Battery.
But it takes them an hour to cook that thing.
Yeah, they say, if you go to the website, it says if you want the deep dish, you gotta call an hour in advance.
That's always one of the ones, I've never done it.
No.
Josh? Oh, really?
I'm going to call to order the October 22nd, 2024 City Council meeting. Jeffrey Reed, would you lead us in a prayer?
Yes, I will. Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Now, Father, we just want to thank you today as we stand here, Father, in the center of the city. Father, we thank you for our city. We give thanks for how you've watched over our city. Father, we can see your hand that has been with us, Father, as an administration and as a council, Father, giving guidance and, Father, just giving direction. We thank you for your wisdom that you've crowned us with, the knowledge and the understanding that you've infused us with. And, Father, we ask that you would continue to do that. Continue to watch over our citizenry. And, Father, just continue to let your blessings, oh God, just overshadow us. In the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I want to welcome everybody. First thing we have, was there any amendments to the agenda? Nobody? Anybody? Nope, okay. Let's see, a few announcements. On October 26th, there will be the Witches Walk, and I don't know if anybody's ever been to that. That's a very well-attended program, or event, and it starts at 10 o'clock on Saturday. I think it's going to be a Saturday, October 26th there.
It is.
And anyway, come out there. It's a fun time. Let's see the next. Computer's not working correctly. Our next regular scheduled city council meeting will be November 5th at 5:30. Port Air Space Day in the Bay is November 9th, and that's from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. They'll have interactive STEM exhibits, Air Force flyover. Sounds like it's going to be a nice long day.
Hey, Gary?
Mhm.
I know it's actually on the council business, but the next scheduled city council meeting on the 5th, I wanted to see if we wanted to recess that meeting because that is
Election day?
Election day.
Yep, I think that would probably be a good idea. Come in, gavel in, then we'll go.
Come in, gavel in.
Mhm.
Okay. So I just didn't want everybody thinking it was gonna be that night, it was gonna be the full meeting and trying to make it over here. We'll probably, y'all thinking maybe move it to Wednesday the 6th or?
Yeah, I can do it. Is everybody okay with that? You'll come and gavel back in on the 6th?
I guess if we see a reason to. I mean, it's election night. I mean, what are we doing at 5:30? Everybody's voting, I guess. Worry about everybody going to vote and then come to the meeting. I mean, we're not counting votes. I'm just asking a question, right? What do we recess the meeting for?
You may be able to get through some of your meeting, and if you think it's extended, going long, recess it at that point,
Or,
or go ahead and plan
yeah,
to
I mean,
recess
just what
early
do we
on.
recess
You've got to
it
get
for?
together that
That's
day.
what I'm asking. What are we doing to?
I think so people won't have to
I
be
just
at
think
two
so.
places at one time.
Yeah,
but
they
the
don't have to
polls
be here
close
if they
at
wanna
7.
come for something,
Okay,
you know.
in case they need to vote.
Right.
What we're recess for, in case people
Yeah,
want to
so
go vote
we're
instead of coming to the
We're
meeting.
going to recess so
So they can,
people have
Yeah.
so they can vote after work without having to worry about coming here.
Okay.
But that's just my thought on it.
That.
Okay,
So August, so we're gonna do it the Wednesday?
the Wednesday, the next day.
Okay.
November 6th.
But we show up on the 5th also.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll show up and just
at least 4 of us.
open the meeting and,
Everybody good on that?
Full.
Okay. Let's see, the Port Air and Space Day, that's going to, on November 9th, and, that's gonna be a pretty nice little event.
We also have Boys and Girls Clubs Taste of the Future coming up somewhere around the 1st maybe. And then we also have Tourism Taste of Hancock County coming up maybe on the 9th as well. That Saturday.
and we have,
Got Hope Haven
Hope
Taco
Haven Taco,
Cook-Off
yeah.
coming on the 2nd. No,
second,
2nd,
yeah, November 2nd.
I know there's more because I saw some more early.
Neary is also that first weekend of April too.
How do you-
November, I
I'm
mean.
not seeing
Same
tonight.
weekend as the Port Air Space.
Big
Good time to
weekend.
be outside.
We have a boys retreat in Dido, actually on November 9th as well, if y'all wanna come up.
Yeah. And also the witches, they're expecting over 3,000 witches.
Well, be.
Big
Casey's
event.
fishing tournament's on November 2nd.
I don't want no spells cast on me.
Stay away.
Busy.
One other
Busy.
thing is, this Friday at 11 a.m. at the community center, the Rotary Club will be dedicating their rotary wheel or gear. It's already in place, but it's covered up, and it's pretty nice thing. It's very heavy, I know. It's very heavy to move. But anyway, if anybody wants to go out there, if they follow Rotary activities, it'll be on 11 a.m. on Friday.
One last thing, congratulations to OLA on their three-peat volleyball and Hancock North Central for South State champions. And fell a little bit short in state, but still in all to get there is another amazing feat for them. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, they won.
Mhm.
Hancock did.
Hancock did not, yeah.
And so actually, Jean's
Actually
daughter
played
plays on that volleyball team, and she's going to have a scholarship. Pearl River playing soccer, correct?
Playing soccer, yeah.
All right, congratulations.
Not to put you out there, Gene.
Yeah.
Not me, man, that's her.
So you gonna will the
But
big,
th-
the
but
big
Daddy had a
couch
lot
to
to do
somebody?
with
What's that?
You gonna will the big couch to somebody?
And the
That's a little inside joke. Gene brings this huge thing that he sits in.
fold-up
and
chair,
stands.
man.
Fold up chair, all right. All right. let's get back to
The love
business.
seat.
Let's see, motion to approve minutes from October 8th, 2024. Anybody reviewed them, and are they good with them?
Yeah, no changes.
Motion.
I got a
to approve.
motion from Councilman Hoffman to approve with no changes. We have a second.
Yes.
Second by Doug Seal. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. All right, planning and zoning,
What about-
motion to follow.
What
What's
about
that?
yes?
Hmm?
Mr. President, yes.
Yes.
Are we?
Oh. I don't see any guests on here.
Oh, okay, well, it's on the,
That sheet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's just nobody listed.
Yeah, Mr. Jeffrey, that's usually when we have people come in, not public forum. Guests is usually when you guys put somebody on the
There
agenda to
was
come in
somebody,
and
but I
speak.
think they've been removed.
Yeah, there was.
You might have it.
Okay, so we don't have any guests.
No.
Okay, let's see. Motion to follow planning and zoning's recommendation to approve the application for special exception submitted by Selena. Sorry, thank you. Selena LeBlanc, requesting a special exception to allow accessory dwelling at 411 Valentine Street, parcel number 137 J. John 0-44-270.000. Plan and zoning approved 4-0. Any discussion?
So, Mr. Mayor, is it recommendation to city administration to approve this special exception?
It was, we've looked at it and everything, and when the first time this came up, I think this is the third time, worried about parking and everything, going back to neighborhood is all familiar with it. There's a duplex next door, I think it is to it, and there's other, second residencies throughout the neighborhood and all. And they have plenty enough yard and everything to make, all the setbacks and everything, and not asking for anything except, a secondary dwelling.
I have a concern. I was reviewing these photographs. There's no hurricane strapping in this thing. This doesn't meet
I don't think it's been approved or anything yet,
Okay,
or an application has been brought in.
okay, because there's no hurricane strapping.
Yeah, it would have to, it's gotta meet all codes and everything else if it is approved.
Yes, sir, would you like to address the council?
If I can.
Yeah, state your name and your address.
Yes, sir. My name is Skip Negrata. I was actually here the last time. And kind of came late to the ball game, so I really did not know what the board was looking at. There was questions with regard to plans. I get that. I helped Ms. Selena this time try to get before the planning and zoning, all the documents that may help you guys make a decision. I think that they had reviewed the plans before, but for some reason it just didn't make it to you guys. So I reviewed it before it went in. I think it had everything that you guys were asking about. The application, which, and I don't know if you're looking at the documents that were provided by the planning and zoning, but each one has got a number in the bottom right corner in a box. Anyway, I'm looking at page number 13. Under section 1305.2, a special exception cannot be recommended unless, and it lists 7 things. So clearly, when the board, planning and zoning went through that, they eliminated these 7 things, or they would not have recommended it. And I think what the gist of this is, it's got to be in harmony with the neighborhood, and it can't be disrupted. And I think Ms. Celine has enough people to sign off on this thing that would support the fact that the neighbors are on board. That would be page number 17. These are all the people that are in the 400 block. The recommendation by planning and zoning, which is page number 54, they address a couple of things that I think are important. It says that the applicant has to have adequate parking for primary and accessory dwelling. I believe that was the initial problem. She went in and made a parking lot, separate entrance, and made it available. That the application was presented in June and August of '24, but failed the city council. We know that. The parcel's over 15,000 square feet. You can see that from the tax records. Document in the packet supports from many neighbors. Just spoke about that. And I think, Mr. Knobloch, what you were just talking about, or Councilman Knobloch, the applicant, and this is the fifth thing listed on the application, the applicant plans to convert the property's accessory structure into an auxiliary dwelling. The reason she hasn't gone any further is because she would have to, there's no sense in spending the money, go through the permitting process and get everything permitted if she can't get approval to do it. She doesn't need another shed. She needs a dwelling place. And I think the most important part of that is the last sentence, and it says, the converted structure must meet all the IRC 2018 building code. If you look at the document, which starts with number 19 and runs through number 28, it's actually a set of plans and the engineering that goes along with the building, which was not in the plan, which was not before you last time. So I think when you look at that, you see that they're wind rated for 150 miles an hour, and they meet all the criteria with regard to what she's asking. I would submit to you that I believe that we've addressed the concerns. We also provided a lot of pictures so that you could see what it looked like. I mean, it's a well-built building. And I would also submit to the board, and this is only two that were mentioned, but I think there's more. This application is comparable to the special exception request of 605 Bear Drive, where this exact same thing was done, and that's smack dab in the middle of an R1 zone. There was also another approval given for this exact same situation on 810 North Beach Boulevard, which again is in the smack dab in the middle of an R1 zone. In the R2 zone, a duplex is allowed by right. And so are accessory structures. So the two things I think that she's asking for, if you break them down in individual sections, they're allowed by right. When you put them together, it requires a special exception, which is why we're here. I don't think we really need to go into why we need this. We've been through that before. Ms. LeBlanc needs more living space, and it was much more cost effective to do it this way than to try to add on. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Anybody got any questions?
No, I was just looking at the Damon Engineering stuff, and Mr. Reed and I were kind of looking at it together, but it looks like they've got the detail in there for the anchoring and the strapping and how it's required to be to, building code, residential building code, international residential building code. And there's a detail in there to show that it's to be strapped down and anchored.
I know, but these plans don't have hurricane strapping in the plans themselves, so.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the engineered for the building itself during the installation that's to be done. So I assume that hasn't been done necessarily yet because it hadn't been completely installed. But.
Yeah, and that foundation, in that foundation, the engineer spelled out the anchors and straps supposed to be included with the installation. And usually with that S1-102 with those blocks, I don't see it in there, but generally when they lay those 3 courses of block, they would fill those with concrete, rebar coming up. They would put an anchor bolt in there and anchor that 2x8 plate. Anchor that 2x8 plate to that. So that, I think the engineer has that spelled out in the side, on the side there, on foundation.
Mhm.
Item, it says item number 5, but it's a picture of the front of the building. It's the first picture I have in my stack. And you can see that on the right side and the left side, there are 2 hurricane straps there. But the engineer says it's supposed to meet 2018 code, and the city says it needs to meet 2018 code. They're certainly not gonna, assuming you guys approve it tonight, they're not gonna let anybody move in there or give her a CO until it meets the city building code.
Yep.
Anybody got anything else? Anybody wanna make a motion?
I make a motion to follow Planning and Zoning Commission, approve.
So we got a motion to follow planning and zoning's recommendation, approve the application for special exception.
I'll second.
I was reading it.
Huh?
Let me finish reading it. By Selena LeBlanc requesting special exception to allow accessory dwelling at 411 Valentine Street, parcel 137, J. John -0-44-270.000. Motion by Councilman Seal, seconded by Councilman Hoffman. Got any discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0.
I thought he was trying to tell me something, I apologize.
Oh, Lord, girl.
You're good to go.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lord.
Let's see. Next one, motion to follow planning and zoning's recommendation to approve the application for variance submitted by Kent Lambert, requesting a variance of 2 feet resulting in a 6-foot setback on a side yard for the construction of a carport at 412 Alman Avenue, parcel 149-0-29-057.000. Plan and zoning recommended approval 4-0. Any discussion? You have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Seal,
Second.
second by Councilman Hoffman. Any discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Let's see, number 7, motion to follow planning and zoning's recommendation for approve the application for a variance submitted by Janice McCardle, requesting a variance of 10 feet resulting in a 10-foot setback to the rear yard for construction of a new porch at 302 St. John Street, parcel 149L, Lincoln, -0-29-086.002. Plan and zoning recommended approval, 4-0. Let me see something here. Got a lot of support from the neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a number of, I guess, the same letter that's attached of support there, correct? I mean, there's quite a few in this packet on this particular application.
I don't think anybody was against it in the neighborhood, and it just meets the other setbacks with the other property owners around there as well.
And it did go through HPC,
I'll make
right?
a motion to approve as,
Wait, Councilman had a
I'm
question.
sorry.
What's that?
Did it go through HPC, or is it required? Is that?
Yeah, she's been approved by HPC. Well, in the back, I don't.
Can't hear what you're saying.
Cliff, did this go through HPC? Number 7.
302 St. John, rear addition, porch.
302 St. John, recognize the name. Yeah, she was there
Yeah, and in the letter from Jeremy Burke, it says that it went through.
did approve that one
Okay,
for HPC.
Okay.
Right.
thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Hoffman. If nobody has anything more. No?
I'll make a motion to follow planning and zoning's recommendation to approve the variance request.
Second.
Motion approved by Councilman Hoffman, seconded by Councilman Reed. Any more discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Let's see. Motion to follow planning and zoning's recommendation to approve application for variance submitted by Andy Parker requesting variance of 15 feet and a 5-foot setback to the rear yard for a home renovation, 108 South Toomey Street, parcel number 149 L Lincoln -0-29-077.000. Planning and zoning recommends approval 4-0.
This one also went through historic preservation in September 2024, it says. All neighbors support, including the neighbor most affected by the variance. That's all in Jeremy's letter of October 9th, it looks like.
And that would be the neighbor to the rear side? Because that's a pretty substantial request. I mean, it's going from 20 feet to 5 feet, so.
No, it's going from 20 feet to, oh, no, you're right, sorry. I was thinking it was 15 feet, but, yeah, it's a 5-foot,
It's following the same footprint that I believe when hearing from the P and Z. We got the applicant here. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Councilman Knobloch.
Go ahead, would
I
you
was
state your
just
name
gonna
and
say,
address?
I'm Andy Parker, 108 South Toomey. We already have a structure in the back that has the same setback, a garden shed, and the pavement. There's a patio and the driveway that we just want to cover is already at this point also.
I think it's just to square up the backyard, the house, back of the house with the
Correct.
yard.
We had a
Approved-
previous
they approved
design
it,
to
they
go
approved it.
up, it was just too cost prohibitive.
And you'll be controlling, I know what we're seeing is, when we start encroaching on some of these to neighbors, controlling your runoff and water and mitigating that.
So in other words, when it runs off the house, I see the roof, the gable up here. You can't spill that on other people.
Right, there will be guttering, and then at the back, when the house behind us was built.
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk into the microphone.
Sorry.
please.
When the house behind us was built, there's a drain in the back that the contractor put in, so if we need to tie the guttering system into that, like, that's no problem. We have that whole area where the gas is gonna be run and all the plumbing.
Mhm.
So we've already talked about how we need probably that runoff to go into.
Okay.
Okay.
If you'll do that, I don't have a problem with this. I mean, it is close to the property line. Anybody else have any issues with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my biggest concerns, whether that's 15 feet or 2 feet. I mean, we're seeing it more and more, just again, on a lot of these new builds. But that small couple feet can have a big impact in terms of the drainage. So that'd be my biggest thing, is mitigating any potential runoff or water for me.
So you're saying you're gonna put some additional drainage in there to control that water and tie
Yeah,
into
so we
that?
can run in the gutters into the existing drain system that runs out the back. Because when they built up and they put their pool and all that, they ran a whole underground drainage system. So when my pool drains, it goes into that, and then it goes out into the sewage.
That's rainwater going into the sewer line, Mike? Can they do?
Or I don't know, it goes out to the
No, it goes out to the
sidewalk,
street.
sorry, yeah, to the street.
When they built the house, they put a drain in over there coming from the backyard, just a sock drain coming through there from the back to the front there to make sure the backyard drains.
I think it's a storm
Oh, can you
sewer.
turn your mic on? Okay. All right, if whoever makes a motion, please include the drainage issue and that they'll control the water and tie into that line to make official record on it.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve with the recommendations of Councilman Noblock that the applicant will control the drainage and tie it into the existing drain lines to run it to the storm sewer or to the front storm drain. And so so it won't encroach any water or put any water on the neighboring property.
Okay, so, let's see, got a motion from Councilman Hoffman to file planning and zoning's recommendation and approve the application for variance submitted by Andy Parker requesting a variance of 15 feet, resulting in a 5-foot setback to the rear yard for a home renovation at 108 South Toomey Street, and that's parcel 149L Lincoln -0-29-077.000, with the stipulation that that Mr. Parker tie into the existing drain line, that's where his pool is draining to, so he can control his water and add the guttering to the back of the building here. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Reed. Any more discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, this time.
Okay.
Popeye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0.
No, you
Thank
keep
you.
that quiet. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
Let's see.
6-0?
Yes.
Thanks.
Motion to file a plan and zoning's recommendation and approve the application for variance submitted by Ernest and Lotus Taylor requesting a 25-yard front yard variance resulting in a zero-foot setback to the front yard for construction of a carport at 605 Spanish Acres Drive. That's parcel number 137Q Queen -0-44-004.000. Plan and zoning recommended approval 4-0 for zero lot line.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? Ernest Taylor. We've had this approved once before by the council and the planning and zoning. And it was during the pandemic, my wife and I decided it was cost costly to go forward with it. We then stopped the construction, then it's now time to start. As far as for our driveway, at the point where this ends, it's probably another 15 to 20 feet of extension of our driveway.
Yeah, those houses are set back.
We set back a long way. So it's not like we're.
Is that
being
right
encroached.
away or something, or?
Yeah, it will be the city's right of way that they still will have access to, and we won't be encroaching on that. We bring it to the end of that portion.
I know-
But we've been before you before, and I think, Mr. Lewis, you asked a ton of questions the last time.
I do recall this application. No, and in just approximation of, because it is set back, I'm looking at it right now, and I've driven by it as well, and it's kind of, it does kind of angle, but the house sits back greater than the 25 feet, correct? I mean,
Yes.
do you know, because I didn't see it in the
Yeah.
packet, on what that
we-
approximation may be.
Well, in 2003, we added 22 feet onto the house to bring the house forward. So we're now, thank you. I'm shaking Pastor Reed, who did the brickwork. So if you saw my house, that's who did the brickwork. But the actual property we still have a longer front than we do in the back. The way that we're set back compared to my neighbors, if you're facing the house on the right, they sit closer to the street than we do. But the neighbors where I'm at, the next two houses over, they all sit further back.
Anybody else? Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion.
To approve?
Yep, motion to approve.
Okay, Councilman Seal makes a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second.
Second by, Councilman Lewis.
It's hard to remember names, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, ever since we had our new councilwoman here, I mean, I've been thrown away. I keep wanting to call somebody Buddy Zimmerman, man, but they just ain't gonna happen.
Call me buddy, I guess.
Any more discussion? If not, vote the motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
There you go. Mayor's report. Let's see, Mayor, motion to approve
Yeah.
Mike Farr's ratification of Marvin M.J. Cranky as a commissioner on Planning and Zoning Commission for the city of Bay St. Louis.
He has shown interest over a period of time and all throughout the years, and with his work now and all, he's able to try to fulfill that and just wanting to be part of it.
Mayor, do we have, is there any, I know typically when we have, an appointed commissioner, we have maybe a bio or some resume, is that, I may have missed it, is there something in the packet, or?
I had his, and I'm waiting on him to send another one. I know he's out there at Stennis, been out there for a pretty good while and everything. But I don't have his, I don't know what I did with it. But he had put in a while back when we had previous openings.
And this will make 7, correct? We currently have 6 commissioners on P and Z,
Yes.
so this will fill. And do we have all wards represented? I know we try to, at
We
least
tried
all
to,
6.
I'd have to go back and look, I don't, because we have
We have 2 that aren't.
two that has moved out
Yeah.
of the city and all, which, nothing in our ordinance stops that from happening, not allowing that.
Yeah, we've discussed that in the past. No, I'm great. It's great to have. This will be representation in Ward 4. Great to have that. I think it may be. Doug, do you have somebody? Might be you and Ward 5 maybe that, or Ward 1 and 5 that. May have, but
Yeah,
I know Clark
on
used to
maternity
be.
leave, shit,
Oh yeah, that's right.
for
Okay.
brain.
Yeah,
Mr.
Amy.
Dosher. Okay.
Amy, Jamelli.
Yeah, and you had Clark as well until he
He
moved out.
Clark moved out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you said baby.
When would he be set to begin, Mayor? The next P and Z, the next month meeting?
Well, I'm sorry.
When would he be anticipating?
Yeah, next
beginning?
meeting.
Okay.
He'll make our next meeting as well and introduce and everything and move forward with that.
Cool.
What do y'all do when you get a new person in, and how do you tell them to study, like we got the comprehensive plan here and all the ordinances and stuff, who is showing them what to do?
Well, Jeremy should be able to answer a lot of questions. Caitlin can answer some questions as well, or the building department, whoever they need to talk to and all, try to get them up and coming, just move them along.
The last one may have been, was the last one Mr. Clark?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Probably Commissioner
No.
Romano,
No,
I would think.
the girl, the new girl.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Commissioner
I
Brown.
have not met
Yeah.
with her, but
Well,
that would
him
be a
and-
good time to meet with both. I usually reach out.
MJ and Miss Davis can study together for the test on the zoning ordinance that's coming up next month, so.
Nobody passed.
They can do crash course, can have
Crash
study
course.
time together.
Yeah.
Have study hall.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that when people take these positions, that they are looking and they are reading those ordinances, cause they are extensive. And, cause we're gonna be bringing in the comprehensive code. What are we waiting for the comprehensive code that we voted on?
They're working on our new rewrite.
We didn't vote on no code. We
no,
brought the
yeah, yeah.
comprehensive plan,
Yeah.
two different things.
Comprehensive plan.
Yeah, I know, and the code.
You're not waiting on anything with the comprehensive plan.
it's
That's
done.
adopted. That is currently being.
So when a application comes in for a variance or something like that, they're referring to that plan right there?
No.
No, that's our
Still
ordinance.
looking at the current ordinance.
We're in the
zoning.
midst of doing of looking at the zoning, correct? Oh, that's
Yeah.
what we need to
Orion
do.
is
Zoning
scheduled-
and things
Orion
like that,
for-
yes. But that's not the comprehensive plan.
What you
That-
finished was a plan.
So it's not being enforced? It's
No,
not being
you don't,
used?
you don't
Well,
enforce
you
the
don't
plan, you enforce the zoning and the ordinances and everything that goes with it, the codes and all. You don't enforce the plan itself.
The plan is showing you where you wanna go.
And what
So
you wanna do.
You can use the plan as your resource, as your tool. That's where you should be looking forward to your city. That's when you guys are making decisions. You should be looking at what your
Well,
comprehensive plan.
this is when I go to Diamond Head, I file a lot of permits in Diamond Head. And so when I go to their variance meetings, there's always, the planning and zoning administrator will say, well, this doesn't follow our planning. So does Jeremy currently do that? Does he say, hey, this doesn't follow our new comprehensive plan and reject, say, don't vote on that, or we don't support that, or?
I
mean-
believe that is taken into consideration when he writes these recommendation letters.
Cause it never says that it
No,
follows.
but that's part of the recommendation letters, on why we agree or disagree on some things and all, further when they're asking for variances and all. But it also is, when you look at the plan, you have to have the ordinances and the zoning and everything else to follow what is allowed. But again, that plan is nothing but what we see as our future, 2045 into the future, where we wanna be and what we want where. And then when we get into the place.
And Orion is gonna be at the next planning and zoning meeting to have that first initial discussion of what they see in our current code and what they see changes.
When is he gonna be?
At the next planning and zoning commission, he's coming to see the plant P and Z and just saying, this is what we're seeing and getting feedback from them.
Okay.
So that's scheduled, that's in the works right now,
All
to
right.
rewrite the whole zoning code.
Okay, anybody wanna make a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Ratify Mr. Marvin M.J. Cranky as planning and zoning commissioner.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Davis. Any discussion? Vote the motion?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Let's see, we're at council business. Gene already went over the first item. Oh, you got anything else?
No.
Jeffrey? Kyle?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring back up, now, Councilman Hoffman, I apologize, this is already discussed, but we brought it up the last meeting where we're starting to see some bottlenecking on Main Street where you've got, you know, and again, I know this is Councilman Hoffman's ward and we discussed it, so I just wanted to kind of pass it on. But one of my constituents continues to call, you know, about it. But it's essentially where we've got a trailer that's stopped, you know, and they put cones out in one of the lanes. It's right close to emergency personnel services, fire station, where I think we've got our ambulance service and police. And according to the ordinance, as long as you got 10 feet to pass, it's okay, right? But then if it goes on the sidewalk, then it makes it impassable for the
A
pedestrian.
sidewalk.
So what do we need to do to make sure, one, we're not bottlenecking in a high traffic area, especially by emergency personnel, and then blocking the
You know,
sidewalk?
we try to get them to move, you know, move it over, you know, you got some that park on the corner and go back. You know, I don't understand why people can't park in yards, but again, when they don't have the place to park in their yard, it tends to fall over into the streets. I don't understand. Again.
It's more with the grass cutting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's many of them, you know, just whether they building or whether they dropping off, you know.
Or they're just cutting grass. It looks like a few of them have just been there.
Most of them are. It's just grass cutters just plop down in the middle of the road, unload, and do what they gotta do. And again, I don't know, Chief might be able to address that to another step and all, but, you know, we gotta be able to find a way. It's just like trailers, boats and everything left in there. Well, you know, if it's an unattended trailer or something, we can get that moved, but if it's boat hooked to your trailer or trailer hooked to your,
But that's not blocking
vehicle.
traffic. This is in the lane.
yeah, they do
Folks are
that.
trying to go pick up kids
But that, yeah.
in school.
And again, if you get over on Carroll Avenue, you know, that first block is a big block there, but they'll park on both sides of the road. It's very difficult to get there. Same thing we discussed on the Motley and the 100 block when they start parking on both sides of the road there. And it is. It's not just on Main Street. It's a lot of our streets that we allow parking in the streets and to be able to do that, you know, again.
Signage that will, if we were to put up signage that there's no parking at any point in time. I mean, the Main Street's
Yeah.
our main artery. I mean, again, that's
I
where our
agree.
emergency personnel is.
And if we can do that legally, you know, we can research that, get the chief and all, we can do that legally, I'd be glad to put them signs out there.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to put them on any street you would ask for.
So is there anything legally we're gonna find out more on that?
Can you
Ms. Smith?
research?
Yeah, I don't know
Give
what,
it to Chief.
Jason, do you have, I don't think there's any,
Chief, you know of
Well,
any
parking
reason we couldn't put these
I
signs?
no, I mean, I think you can decide where you want parking in your city.
I think we can. I think we're allowed to do that.
Right now with the situation, they can legally park, have been, and turn across to get on the sidewalk. Then pedestrians can't get by. We can issue a citation for that. But a solution would be, if everybody's in agreement, the majority are, is to put signage on one side of the road. Then it can be easily enforced by the department.
I think what Kyle's talking about is people that.
Neither side of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
you know,
parking in the
especially
road,
on
period.
Main Street,
The
like,
main
where we
entry
don't
coming
have
in.
parking off the side. You know, if you go down Main Street in the first block, Main Street, you got street parking on the side. But if you're in the 500 block up by the police department and the fire station and things like that, people stop in the road, put out a cone on either side, and they get off to cut their grass. Or you know, the company does to cut the grass for whatever residence or business. And they block half of Main Street going in one direction for probably, you know, 30, 40, 50 minutes,
At
an
least.
hour, something like that. And it just causes a bottleneck and some problems, especially if it's a busier time of day or like carpool time, morning or evening, that kind of thing. So just a concern that, you know, that's one of our main arteries. So if we could just put no parking signs on either side of the road for those areas and make them pull down to the end of the street and park, you know, off the road somewhere and come back.
Pull in their yard.
Yeah, but a lot
Pull
of
in
them
the
they have
driveway
open
and
driveways.
cut the grass in
Yeah.
the yard. I mean, that's the thing. Or cut one half and then move to the other side and cut the other half.
Sounds like the best solution, signage on both sides
Yeah.
to negate the problem.
As long as we don't have a legal issue doing that, I have no problem doing that at all. So,
And we have no parking signs on sides of the streets all over.
Yeah.
No parking here, right? I mean, I got them on the end of Felicity Street where they were, you know, people were parking there going to throw nets at the culvert. So there's no, we have no parking signs. We just put them up.
We got them on the South Beach.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
it's just
Yeah.
where I don't know what the rule, the regular MDUC code, the traffic code.
We'll
Yeah,
take a
whatever
look
the
at it
hell is.
also, but shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah,
The
so
opposite.
we can look it up, but I don't see how you could obstruct a public road for any long period of time. Just, how can you just obstruct a road legally for, you know, just not for momentary stopping? There should be, and
I think when we looked in this before, it's
time or
it's
something.
allowed by law.
Okay,
If the road is
Only
so
certain-
wide,
okay,
Like your
you can
areas are-
have it.
Yeah.
right.
You know,
Okay,
it's allowed unless we
unless
say
we restrict it
none.
otherwise.
But
Okay.
by law, it's legal how
By
they're doing
law,
it now. If we put
it
up
is legal.
signage, it takes that
Yeah.
away.
okay. I just
So
wondered.
we can,
We need to put
Yeah.
time into it.
Yeah,
Mm.
cool.
no problem.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kyle, for bringing that up.
All right, yeah, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
That's all I had. That's what I'm-
Ms.
yeah.
Davis? Doug, you got anything?
No, just running through, back 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting residents of Felicity Street, speed control issues. Thanks to the police department for supplying some data, put some speed signs up, got some data off of those, as well as, Lieutenant Murphy coming to the meeting as well. Did a PowerPoint, did a recommendation to the administration. They wanna add two additional speed bumps on 100 block and add one additional speed bumps on the 2 to 500 block. I sent it to the administration to look at, so it's the same thing, right? Somebody called and said, I want a speed bump, I'm like, here's a petition, get all your neighbors to sign it, because 50% want them, and 50% don't want it, right?
Yeah.
So we did have a good group of meeting, people that showed up that night and represented, so, we're moving forward with some speed control, and some other recommendations to try to help people slow down. But appreciate the administration for the support on that.
All
And
right.
that was it.
Let's see, moving on to public forum. Tad Black, number one.
Thank you, council. Topic is grass cutting contract. About a month ago, my ditches haven't been cut in over 3.5 months. Been cut one time, and I cut it. That was right before the storm, because we were supposed to get 10 to 15 inches of rain, and the grass was about this high, ditch. So I called my councilman, Lewis. He got in touch with somebody, and a guy named Steve came over. He was in charge of the grass cut. And, very nice young man. Yeah, we had a great conversation. And, basically, he told me they don't cut the ditches unless it violates the city code. And I said, city code, you mean no more than 9 inches? He said, yeah. And I said, well, you know, you get 9 inches of grass in the ditch, it impedes the flow. And that's the only reason I cut it, because I hadn't cut it and I'm not gonna cut it. Because we're paying somebody to cut it. Now, I will tell you, nice young man, we had a great conversation. He told me what they are doing by the contract. And I'm just curious, because I asked him, I said, because I know years ago when they first started bidding out the contract, I was interested in doing it, right? But at that time, I was married and my wife worked for the city, so that wouldn't work out, right? But I did get a copy of the contract, and it was by the linear foot. He said they don't do that like that anymore. The contract don't read like that. But my problem is that we're paying to cut, and if you're not gonna cut it till it gets 9 inches high, then we got a problem. We got a drainage problem. And I will tell you, and I even told him, I said, the people you have weed eating don't do a good job. Now, the contract y'all had before, I don't know who it was, but they did an excellent job weeding. They don't cut the ditches with a lawnmower and then come back about this much and cut. Other contractors had sidewinders that they actually put in the ditch and they run down the ditch, so it actually cuts half the ditch and blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, I don't think this contractor is doing the appropriate job that our citizens need. As a matter of fact, I told all my neighbors, I said, quit cutting your ditch. Because we're paying somebody to cut it. Your tax dollars are paying somebody to cut it. But they're not gonna cut it till it gets 9 inches high. So the next time y'all do a contract, y'all make sure that we keep our, at least the ditch flow clean. Okay, and so anyway, and I heard the mayor talking about with the appointment of the P and Z, but I just like the council to know that I've been asking the mayor for over 2 years to be appointed to the Planning and Zoning Committee, but I do appreciate his consideration. But I just talked to him about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's all good. You know, and I heard when Mr. Skip Negrata, attorney Skip Negrata, was talking for the lady on Valentine Street, you know, he was reading the code about the same way that I was reading it. Of course, it was in conflict the way the mayor and our city attorney reads it, but another attorney kind of read it about the same way I did, about the 1,500 feet and all that kind of stuff. Because I know the property on 403 Estabrook is not a 1,500-foot lot. You know, that poor girl, this is the 3rd time she did this. But yet there's other people that don't have to do it, and they're doing the same thing. She was doing it right, but there's other people on Union Street and Estabrook Street that didn't have to go through planning and zoning. But you just heard Skip Negrata talk about the codes and and that's about what I was trying to tell y'all a couple of weeks ago. Even though that our city attorney and our mayor read it different. So, and it is different. It is ambiguous because you can read it both ways. And I think one of the problems that happened is when the pods came after the storm, and now you got metal shipping containers you can make houses out of, and they kind of put something in there that, I don't know if Slaughter and Associates did it, but that wasn't in there when I was a council. Because we didn't have to worry about pods and taking shipping containers and making houses out of them like they did on Chantilly Terrace, and you got one down in Waveland. One in Waveland's nice. But anyway, I'd like to just make sure the next time we release a grass cutting contract that we make sure that the ditch flow is cut for the rain, for it to flow. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mike, on the grass cutting, because I've been getting a lot of complaints out of Ward 6 where grass is high. Is it true they gotta wait till it's 9 inches high before they cut the grass?
That's in our contract. I've never seen that.
I'm kind of looking through the contract now, and I have never seen that. I mean, it's city ordinance, but that's not.
That's what the gentleman Steve told me.
Yeah, I mean,
if the grass is low, you know, and someone's keeping up, they may not cut it.
I
Again,
cut my grass,
yeah,
so, I mean.
And a lot of people, if it's in that yard, most of them do cut it. You know, some people don't want them cutting a ditch at all, no matter what it is, they'll take care of it and all, you know, but no, I don't know.
So it says.
That is, but they cut the grass and everything and go. They did get a little behind in Ward 6, you know, right now. They had some problems and some other things come up, and they did get behind in Ward 6. They started in reverse, I think this time going 5, started in 5 off Blue Meadow, going back that way instead of starting on Lake and coming this way. So they're in Ward 6 now, cutting 5 and 6. But no, I've never seen anything about any 9 inches in the contract about waiting till it's 9 inches to cut. But again, if homeowners take care of their yards and everything and their ditches, they usually don't cut them. They will bypass that. Yeah. Yeah. No. They get paid by round. You know, they get paid wards 1 through 4, and then 5 and 6 is separate. And then when they do those rounds, they'll get paid as they go with that. They try to do it 1 through 4 is fairly easy because most people do keep up a lot of residential areas with ditches and all. They do keep up a lot of it themselves. And unlike 5 and 6, a lot of vacancy lots out there, whereas there's a lot more, weedy. But they'll usually get wards 1 through 4 and then move out to 5 and 6. They try to get everything done in a 4 to 5 week span. It just depends on 5 sometimes, when high tides and all might have water in ditches, and I know I've seen that happen as well. So.
And Mayor, what is the expectation or protocol in terms of, because if it is being, because I was in Ward 6 area just dropping the kids off at soccer and went down some of those side streets, and it does look like the grass is long they cut it, but it all goes in the ditch, and that prohibits, I mean, that can greatly, you know,
Yeah.
the water flow. So, I mean, what's the expectation in terms of them getting that out of our ditches? 'Cause
They're supposed to get it out just like on, you know, if they cutting like on 90 and all, where there's a lot of drains down in off the side of the road and everything. They supposed to rake the grates clear and, you know, and clear that as well. Same thing if the grass for whatever reason gets up to where, you know, it's blocking the inlet to the culverts when they cut and all. Expectation is to try to remove that as well. Yeah.
I just want to check with them. I think it was Chapman and Liliac.
Yeah, I sent that to them when you
Okay.
sent that the other day there.
Thank you.
But, you know, I think we bid out, I think it's 10 times a year, expecting to cut 22 times on 9603, 22 times on Central along the railroad. Blue Meadow from Main Street to the casino or Joe's Bayou Road, I think it's 22 times. Longfellow's 22 times a year and all, and, you know, I think most of the time they come close to hitting those marks, but I think they may fall short one, you know, for the rounds throughout the year, and they'll start slowing down now as well, so.
Any more about the grass cut? No? Mr. Omen?
John Omen, 110 DeMontwood Avenue. First thing, cruising the coast during the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, big days in Bay St. Louis. I spent most of the daylight hours sitting on my front porch. I don't have any idea what the traffic scheme was or anything related to it, but from where I sat, my little narrow point of view, I've never seen it smoother. It was, I don't know if you would get lucky, chief, but that was great.
Lucky but good.
Yeah. The other thing, something happened yesterday, which a couple of you may know a little bit about already, but I woke up at 110 DeMontwood Avenue to go outside and see that one of the live oak trees had been really chopped around by Asplin in way of power lines. And like I said, it was ugly, but I don't see what else they could do. Seemed appropriate. But then I saw an Asplin truck coming up DeMontwood Street, and a guy gets out with a 10-foot pole to lift the wire so that they can get the truck underneath. Okay, so a wire was dropped while they were cutting. Quite frankly, the fact that it survived is a compliment to the way they did the job. You know, they took care of it. But they know that it's there hanging 10 or 11 feet above the street. And they're all set. Boom, they come along, boom, and they came several times that day. The point of it is that there was just fiber optic cable, internet for my house, Baytown Inn, don't know who else. Very thin line, very difficult to see. And I just wanted somebody to somehow mark it, make it more visible. I understand, you know, the city responded accurately, I'm sure, that they can't touch the line. AT&T, only AT&T can touch it. Understand that completely. But I was there for 7 hours on the street trying to keep trucks and buses from disconnecting the internet. Catherine and I tried marking it with flagging tape and things, and we actually kind of looked like three stooges out there, rolled things over and messed up. And I got a lot of cooperation from the truck drivers and bus drivers that came along. They all went their way, or a couple of them we eased under slowly to check it. And during that time, you know, there was plenty of foot traffic and other vehicles, and I think a lot of people who came by thought I was either the village idiot or an overzealous neighborhood watch guy. I'm just saying it for the sake of when it happens again, in that situation, just somebody help mark it some kind of way, okay? Or call me and I'll come to your street and I'll stand there with my stick. Thank you. Oh, third thing, I'm sorry. I have no drainage issues.
Thank you, Mr. Orman. Cliff Rabelais? Yes, thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen, Linda. You might must know, I can't talk about, Heather's quoted me on this, where there's no enforcement, there are no rules. I think that's what y'all heard tonight. Have an attorney come up here and he quotes where we've approved variances based on, or we want to approve a variance based on where we approved variances inappropriately in the past. There was a time prior to Mr. Favre being mayor that it was a standing comment among contractors along the coast. You want a variance, you go to Bay St. Louis, they give you a variance for anything. I saw us move away from that, and now I think I'm seeing us move back towards that. So I'm gonna ask, you know, we did see some things on historical. We don't look at setbacks and all that historical, though when we notice them, we do tell the people, you know, you have to get a variance for this. But we don't, as historic, govern that. But I am gonna ask that we start looking at, just because none of the neighbors think it's a problem, if it doesn't meet the requirements, there's no reason to give them variance. I mean, quite honestly, somebody was asking, what's the training for the new P&Z guy? We have got a really, really good, easy to read, easy to follow planning and zoning regulations, and we got very specific why you get a variance. And you guys know it, and I know it. They've been up here, and then people got up here and says, this request meets none of the requirements. Why are we granting it? It meets no requirements. And yet, we'll get it. Guys, I was in management. Some of y'all may have known that. I was not Mr. Nice Guy. I was the guy who sat in the corner office and said no. I've told you guys before, you got a lot more tact and diplomacy than I ever did. But sometimes, you are the guys in the corner office that got to say no. This is our rules, these are the things, these are the requirements to get a variance. And you make one person happy, and you make everybody wonder, why do we have rules? So I'm asking you to look long and hard at, particularly Mr. Black talking about, you know, things, but we got rules, we got regulations, just follow it. We got a very good thing. We got new comprehensive plan coming. That's great. But if we don't enforce the rules, might as well not happen. Josh is not here. I got a phone call. The reason I came is I wasn't coming. Got a phone call from a guy out in Ward 6 that I've known, and he knows that I used to run VRBOs. I've sold mine because it's not the cash cow people think it is, believe me. And he knew I ran them. So he called me because he said, what do I do when I got somebody renting that's got rowdy crowds every weekend? So are they ever going to pass an ordinance? I think y'all remember when we were passing the ordinance, and Doug, me and you got a little sideways, but that's okay. Nobody knows the ordinance has been passed. The vacation rental owners don't know it. The general public don't know it. I got people calling me saying, what do I do? Let's make these things public. You know, we used to get, people would get emails knowing the city council, and I think, Heather, you were even surprised when I said, it's like a secret. We need to start sending those emails out and let people know what's on P&Z. Send that email, let them know what's on the city council meeting, because it is the perception, not just from me, but because I got neighbors who ask me, well, what's going on? Well, you gotta go to the city website. Well, some of us don't go and sit at our computer and open up a computer. I used to do that a lot after I quit working for a W-2. I don't do that much. And I don't look on my phone. If there's any way possible, I'd like, Mayor, that we could get those emails again, because I think you're gonna keep the general population a lot more informed of what's going on, so we don't have these, well, I didn't know they did that. That doesn't do any of us any good. You guys, the mayor, me, anybody. Let's see if we can't get it to be feel a little bit more like open communication. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
you. Linda?
And,
You're not a gentleman, I know.
no, if you don't mind. Mr. Rabbit, that brings up a good point. Mayor, what was the notification process on the, that recent ordinance?
I know they've been advertising it, on the website, I think it's on there, social media and all. I think they're starting to generate a little bit of, responses and all, but just trying to get the word out and everything and all, and just trying to, I guess, try to find some on their own as well, through the VRBO and everything, page, website, whatever, and going that way around it.
It was also on Seacoast Echo.
Seacoast Echo has published it a time or two.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
regular publishing of an ordinance, but we ran, there's an article on it
Yeah.
as well.
It looks like, so it is, I did just see, it looks like there's a news release date, actually today, on the short-term rental registrations now being accepted, right?
We
Yeah.
just pushed one out, another
They
one this
just
week
pushed another one out and everything, and
on Facebook and the website.
What was the deadline on that?
Deadline for that's supposed to be
first
end
of
of the
year.
month. Yeah, end of, I'm sorry, end of the year.
End of the year.
End of
Gave
the
them
year.
3 months. And we did do a couple of demos on eBlast software, tools that can be used from, so we're looking at some other options to be able to put that back in.
But Cliff, if he's having a problem, you need to reach out and let him know, just, hey, that, call PD. and-
Determine the
yeah,
police, call the police.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make that call and that way, because there's ordinances against all that to start with, whether it's registered VRBO or not, or just the homeowner, and they can take care of that. So, recommend him to call, and if he doesn't get a response from them or anything for whatever reason, just let us know.
And I'll say that again, just because I've reiterated that in any meeting that it comes up, it's to always make sure our residents feel comfortable calling the police. And if they don't, a lot of times what I have, even my personal family, they don't think it's an emergency. Well, if you don't think it's an emergency, call 228-255-9191. That's dispatch. It's not gonna go through as an emergency call like, someone's dying, but you can still talk to somebody and they can dispatch an officer out there. So that's another good tool to tell people. And then there's a record, correct? Because if you call that 255-9191, it still goes into dispatch and there's still a log of it being called. It's just not the 911, what's your emergency line.
Well, that's kind of data we need to generate to
Correct.
monitor whether the, in this particular place is having problems or,
Yeah,
So we
and
can
that's.
afford-
Like he's saying, every
it-
weekend, every
Right.
weekend.
Correct, and even with the ordinance being in place, I mean, the ordinance is only going to be, there cannot be somebody going in every weekend to check on every one of these VRBOs for ordinance. So if this isn't a little self-policed, if they're not calling in, if they're not making the reports, then it's gonna be really hard to find these people. So that's what that not emergency line is a very good tool to use. And we're working, not we, they are working on, I think once their software implemented, there should be coming within the next, I would say, 6 months, a mechanism that people could actually text something in. So that might be helpful too.
So where
But
does that
that's-
report of concern go to? Because we used to, before we changed, we would get the email notifications. I forget what the official
Woo-foo.
term was.
Woo-foo? For complaints?
Yeah, so if it was,
That woo-foo?
is it Woo-foo? Yeah, so, and it would direct it to, I think, the pertinent parties involved. If it was in your ward, you'd get notification on that. So where,
And you can upload photographs to that.
yeah, so now when it's a report of concern, does that go to,
If you click the website and go report a concern,
Yeah, I'm on it,
it comes
yeah.
to me.
so then do
And
you,
then I
so if
distribute
it's-
it to
you
the
distribute if
department
it's-
that's got to go to.
But is there an awareness? Because a lot of times we would see a lot, for awareness sake, if it's in our area, we know that there's a concern. So are you pushing it? I haven't gotten any.
I send it to the department, or, if it's a speeding down a certain street, I'm like, Alvin and Toby, can y'all put some blue lights on that street? If there's a drainage issue, I send it to Ronnie. So it just depends what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think just as a FYI courtesy, if it is something.
I'll get
in
them
our
about
relevant
where they're
ward.
voting right now. I get,
But-
where to go vote, where to early vote. I'm getting a lot of those.
But looping in the pertinent councilman that if it's a concern in the ward, again, I know a lot of that's gonna be determined and remedied by administration, but it's good to understand, and that way, if we get a call, we're in the know on that too. So is there a way, I mean, he would just simply
All I
CC
have to
that.
do is hit forward.
Okay, that's.
You're more than welcome to have as many as you want.
If it's relevant to your ward, I would
mean-
like to see it.
Come on, Joey, come on.
I guess what I'm hearing is there a mechanism where people can have a complaint? Rather than calling Kyle at 9 o'clock at night, is there actually a mechanism in place?
On the homepage
They
of
go
the
on the
website, it
website.
says report a concern.
So I'm telling you, there's a lot of people here, and I come to the meetings, and I didn't know this. So there's obviously probably a lot of citizens, because people don't look at the homepage very
The other
regularly,
one's
at least I don't.
that old thing called the telephone.
Well, yeah, well, that's,
And somebody would call somebody.
well, I'm not gonna call it
Generally
like,
call City Hall or whatever.
The
And that's,
police.
then again, then we call the police, or we call Public Works, or
Okay.
we got.
but there actually is a mechanism on the website where,
Homepage,
at the homepage,
big button that says report a concern.
And that's been there, this new and old website, and it's been there for years.
And I
Thank-
usually reply to the person who sent it to let them know I received it. They'll automatically get a reply that's generated by the computer.
okay.
But then I also reply and say, I've forwarded this to Public Works, I've forwarded this to the police.
Okay, well, like I said, I was
sending
not
this to the
aware
mayor,
of it.
whoever.
Yep.
But yeah,
And there's
that's
Thank
Let me show you, homepage,
I'll come look.
big report of concern, and when you do that, it opens up basically a template email. So, report of concerns, and then you put your name, phone number, location, and you can report your concern and hit submit. And then
Thank you very much.
Pretty neat. Somebody go out to order pizza. Yeah.
I don't even remember why I was calling Gulfport Police Department. After I had gone to their website with a link like that, complaint or whatever it was. And I don't know, after about a week or two, I finally got through to somebody on the telephone. And I said, well, what about this? They said, oh, we get so many things on there, you know what? The implication was, it's just overcrowded, we can't do anything about it, you might as well not bother. If you have this, I trust these people, but you need to look at that and see that it is being monitored and attended. Thank you.
So that's a good question, because I've uploaded a couple just on my street alone, and nothing's ever been done, and these are over 4 months old. Like,
That
so
you're
who
sending
is
report a
monitoring?
concern?
What's that?
Does it say report a concern?
I put in an order
For what?
What do you
to
mean an
clean
order?
the ditches, to clean the
mean, that-
conduit, the culvert.
And I'm sure it's on that list and all, not to say that they're gonna get there overnight to do it. I mean,
Well,
They got
it
a
hadn't
hundred-
been overnight.
well, I mean, they got 168 miles of ditches they trying to keep clean too, times 2 on each side of the road, so, I mean, they go through there pretty regular cleaning St. Charles Street ditches and everything through there, so.
Are we talking about the same thing? Because the report of concern comes to me. I get an email.
Yeah,
A work order is what I put in.
If you put in a work order, that's going
that
through
goes to Ronnie,
directly to Public Works.
that's it.
If I get a report of concern that says, I need my ditch dug, I'm gonna forward that to Denise, and say, please create a work order. She replies back to me, done. Like, cool. I email the people, and I tell them, I've received it, I've submitted this to Public Works, thank you very much. Boom. That's how I process it.
Do you ever get back to the people who reported the concern and let them know that you followed up on it?
No.
That they don't put a number?
Oh, I don't. I mean, once I've sent it to the police, I'm pushing it to the police. Concern's been pushed. I don't go back and say, hey, back on April 15th, did that, whatever happened with the speeding on Felicity, I mean,
Well, and that's why
I
it's
could
just
spend my entire
And it just
day
gets back
doing
to the
that.
request, Mike, if you can, if it's relevant to our respective awards, that way, if we get question on it, we can follow up with it. That's why I just, because we used to get it, with the WUFU, it would go to, it'd be identified, here's your councilman, and you put Ward 4, and that would go to your respective councilman. That way, we can follow up as well and make sure, yeah, just to stay on top of it. Not saying it's not getting done, but at least we have the ability to know what's being put in there.
No, I mean, I can go, just, when they click that form, we're able to add as many emails as we want, so I mean, I can add the whole city council.
I don't know.
And y'all see, I can see every one.
Is it, let me see, it doesn't have.
I won't have
Ward
to touch
there.
anything.
Okay.
I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
Okay, Ms. Warner?
Nita Warner, Live Oak Registry. Back at the beginning of the summer, we had a revised tree ordinance. I remember discussing it and heard nothing since. So where are we with the revised tree ordinance?
Yeah, Mike, I had asked about that a couple weeks back.
Talk about it every day. I'll tell you, Miss Anita, it's a complicated process of trying to figure out exactly what we want to do. Also going through, okay, what does our ordinance have now that we can utilize that maybe we haven't utilized to the best of our ability. So that was actually a conversation that Ricky, the mayor, and I had. We are a city court, so we are capped at $1,000 fine. So we're looking at some ways to be creative with that. That's if somebody illegally does something, because what you have to watch is you can't draft an ordinance that the best thing to do is just go violate the ordinance, because at that point, all you can get hit with is $1,000 fine. So we are talking to the judge on some restitution aspects of what he could do to go that route. So it's definitely not on a back burner. I mean, it is almost on a daily basis. We're going through this thing line by line and talking as a team with the different departments. Like, what do you need for this tree ordinance? What do you need, building department? What do you need, zoning? What do you need, public works? What do you need, administration? So it is definitely not on the back burner. It's just we're trying to make sure that when it gets there, we get it right.
Trying to make sure we can enforce what we want.
I understand that part. Is there any way we could charge them more than, I understand the jurisdictional amount being $1,000. Is there any way to get that raised? Because
if you go to the Mississippi legislature is the only one that could find that, because the statute, Mississippi state law sets what jurisdictional limits that we have
in the
as far
city.
as fines. Not the city. Like we have no authority over that.
The reason I ask is because people call me, so-and-so's cutting down an oak tree, or they cut them down on the weekend, or like that guy that owns the shopping center who cut down all the oak trees and planted palm trees. So, I'm just asking.
Yeah, that individual was dealt with the court.
Good.
And he actually took the palm trees out and replaced them.
He had to replace the palm trees with 6 trees, I think it was, something. I
Good.
don't know. 6.
Good, because I mean, literally, people call me up, or they'll call the
Well, if they
historical.
got somebody cutting, they need to, we need to have a report on that.
I understand, and it oftentimes happens on the weekend.
Always.
When the city's.
Also, I see there's, they're laying out the lots over there in Shieldsboro, and, just wanna make sure the city is watching, that they don't go out there and.
That was also conversation topic of the day.
Right, because again, people say, Anita, they're, because when they came here, they swore up and down they were gonna keep the oak tree. And there are some really big oak trees over there in Shieldsboro.
I think the mayor.
That was part of the motion.
I know.
They couldn't remove those oak trees.
Well, we've been in correspondence a couple times on that, Mayor, and there's really 98% of those trees are staying. You said there might be a couple that are smaller and clumps that are not large in size, but for the most part, those are staying.
We still feel the same.
Yeah.
You know, look, discussion was today that, they drew these boundaries, the lines, property lines and all. That should have been taken in, and we don't see a hardship in it.
Basically,
You know,
they put
couple of 'em-
they drew a line with a 48-inch oak tree right in the middle of the lot.
They created
could
their own.
move those
created-
over, they
yeah.
could made a larger lot. And again, there is some that's in there that's on a smaller version, that may be able to be removed, but there's one in particular which they have not asked for it yet, But this tree, I don't know, I think the wingspan on that thing's pretty much the whole lot.
There's like 3 or 4.
I understand,
it's
and they do,
huge.
it's, you're not supposed to build under the drip line.
You know.
And which brings up the next thing is when we're starting to build, why don't we require people to do at least a tree? When I lived in Texas, if you built something, you had to put in 3 trees.
Half
Might have been a
tree.
crepe myrtle, might have been a, you know,
Anything.
whatever, but something rather than nothing.
We've denied quite a few people lately on wanting to remove oak trees.
Well, she's talking about requiring a
Yeah, I
canopy.
know, but I mean, where they built and they could have moved the house over, you know, a little bit
Right.
to the other way and they wouldn't have to, and we've denied those.
I understand that part. What I'm saying now is
Oh, yeah.
what developers wanna do is they wanna clear cut, build, and leave.
And a lot of that, you know, we're catching, I guess, feedback from insurance company that comes in and tell you, hey, that tree's gotta go, or it's gotta be trimmed, or this and that, which I don't agree with all of it sometimes, you know, okay.
15 feet from the house. That's what their current saying is. But by the same token, our friend John Benton says, you can trim this part up and you're good. So, okay,
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
I think that, you know, when you touch, who was it? I think Mr. John talked about Mississippi Power came in, that was another heated,
It's
not
been another
heated, that was
conversation.
another discussion with Mississippi Power today and last week as well.
I have their arborist phone number. I met with him. Jack Blitch and I met with him about the trees over at Christ Church and our property line with Jack Blitch. We met with their arborist. We said, you're not touching those trees, if we come talk. So, it can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reed, you had something?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, Ms. Pam Martin called me. They have a complaint on the end of Sycamore, turnaround. If emergency vehicles go down there, there's no place to turn around. The garbage collection, no place to turn around, and they're turning around in her yard, breaking up concrete. She wanted me to bring it up tonight. She asked me, did I want her to come up here? No, I'll bring it up. What can we do to get a turnaround built down there?
I've talked with Pam a couple times. We went and looked at it, not seen where concrete's been broken in her driveway or anything. I might have missed it, you know, but we've been down there a couple times with Ronnie looking. We don't have property to create a turnaround, you know. There is an easement that's going through back over to Keller that Ronnie's trying to find out exactly where it comes out on Keller to see if we could create something where they could make a complete loop, or is it big enough, the easement big enough where we can create? But it's back this way, he's still gonna have to somehow back down the street into this. And I mean, that's not the only dead end street we got. You live on a dead end street.
Right.
And I mean.
Fortunately, they got a,
yeah.
coming out of the housing, they can turn
place.
around
We
there.
went and looked at that.
But,
and that's what we're trying to find over there, where we can create something at the end of the street down there where they can go in. Putting a culvert in, in the ditch is not a problem.
when you were councilman, we did discuss, doing cul-de-sacs at the end of, Sycamore, Ronnie LaFontaine, I think it is. He owns some lots down there, and they were gonna open that up, and was gonna do a cul-de-sac there, and was gonna do a cul-de-sac at the end of Keller. We you know, it's right there at the main drain ditch on both of them. Maybe we can look at, give them something, because, you know, if there's an emergency vehicle that goes down there again, they don't have turnaround, and then we definitely don't want them turning around.
Oh, it would be a huge asset to have it to where, you know, right now the garbage truck is backing all the way in or out to get there, you know, so he can collect it from both ends. They might use a red normal pickup, and I'm not sure what they use, but you know, I guess when they was pouring concrete across the street and all, they was using it to turn around as well. But yeah, I think it'd be great if we can find something. Ronnie's working on that, looking at it. Like I said, you know, putting a culvert in a ditch is not the problem. It's getting the property owner to allow us to use their property for a turnaround, at least a back end or whatever, whether it's a full cul-de-sac or not, you know.
So, what do we, Okay, Ronnie's looking at it, and, you know, again, she says, well, how long are we gonna look at it? You know, what steps can we take forward?
Find a piece of
What can we
property
do?
where we can use as a turnaround. I mean, we can't just go take someone's property and make it a turnaround.
Maybe we can,
It's not what you
Can
want to
we-
hear, and, you know, because I've told her the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, that Ronnie's looking, trying to figure out what he can do and everything and all. But again, if we have a property owner in the back there, that would give us a piece of property that we could have at least where, put a culvert in, let them back in their property and clear it and all this and that. Get approval from the city to go in and clear the property and all to use it, then we can move forward with it.
well, I think, Mr. LaFontaine owns those lots down to there, and maybe,
Who's that?
Mr. LaFontaine, he owns those lots, and maybe, Moriali also, Brent. Maybe we can talk to them that they can give us some of that, that we can, it would, be an advantage to them. Also, if we could put a cul-de-sac down at the end, it would, be a win-win. If they could donate some of that to the city to do that turnaround, it would help them with their lots, and it would help us access, you know, or whether have a turnaround down there. Is there anybody in the city that can go to,
That's what Ronnie's trying to figure out, who's got the property in the best location to see where we can put something. Like I said, even if it's just a culvert in a ditch where they can pull in and back out into the road. You know,
Right.
We don't need a full-fledged cul-de-sac, you know, be nice, but if we can just have a place where they can pull in and turn around would be a huge help.
I think, like I said, I think it's, Mr. LaFontaine, and I think it's either, Brent or Bruce, one of them,
Brent.
owns that down in there. So, if we can keep that on the, Ms. Caitlin, if you put that on there for the next meeting also, and see what we can make happen. Thank you, Mr. President.
That's it. I have one other item. The sign over there on Boost Log, for the company, seafood company, I guess that's going in there. So the guy puts the sign up.
Yep.
And he pays a permit fee, and he gets to keep the sign with no verification of the depth of the holes. I mean, I do signs for a living, and what I saw, you know, that's not the way it's done.
He did not have a permit when he put the sign in.
I know,
Right.
and how do
And
you
he came,
verify?
got a permit, verified by, you know, it's in the asphalt right there as well, drilled out and everything, you know.
Who verified that, and how did they do it?
What I'm told is he had a receipt for 16-foot pilings. He's 4 feet in the ground, surrounded by concrete and everything. It's been engineered. Matter of fact, I have it right here.
After the fact. So
After the fact,
I guess the point is,
he paid double.
how do you know that pole's all the way in the ground if it's all covered in concrete? He could have cut it and stuck it in. I've seen that done 100 times.
Well, that probably can't, you know, except take his word for it. You know, if he was gonna do that, he would have bought a 14-footer or a 12-footer maybe or something like that. But anyway, it's engineered, stamped and everything for 150
Well,
degree
that
wind.
engineering ain't worth the paper it's written on, mainly because it's already in the ground.
Yeah.
Is that true, Jason? I mean, so somebody can give you an engineering report, and not know what's in the ground? Okay.
Yeah. But it's no different than other people putting signs, anything up without permits. No different.
Who's that?
Just, you ever done it?
Nope.
That's,
I don't. I have a state license.
you never put a sign up without a permit?
I always pull them.
Always?
Always.
100%.
Almost.
Almost. There you go. It happens. And again, you know, they did just like you had to do, is come in, pay double for the permit and hope everything's okay.
But we're
But
talking
again,
about setting pylons. We're not talking about
it's
a sign.
engineered. It's two parcels of property there. There's a sign on the front that's why he was able to elevate the one in the back, because again, it's two separate parcels of property. Yeah, but again, it's, the engineer stamp, that's his liability if it's not. And I would think he would be aware of what it is. Yeah.
All right, Jason, engineer's report.
Engineers, right?
What's that?
Speaking of engineers, right, my turn. We have quite a few motions tonight that we are requesting from you guys for some projects that are ready to advertise. We've been talking about these projects for a while, they've been in our report, but I'll go through them pretty quickly and answer any questions that you do have. The first one is for ARPA Citywide Sewer Improvement Phase 2. This is utilizing the funds from DEQ and from the federal government to improve and repair and rehabilitate the sewer systems. We've already gone through and PV'd and cleaned all the sewer lines and manholes. We've been evaluating all the reports. Now we're ready to go out for bids for the repairs to those sewer lines. So what we're looking at are point repairs to go in and fix taps that are failing or cracked pipes or slip joints. And also lining with a fiberglass or actually a cured in place liner, all the clay pipe, metal pipe, concrete pipe, and then an alternate we will have are to fix and line all the manholes. So probably gonna have several alternates on this because we're not exactly sure what the funds are gonna be. We have about $6 million for it. And, because of the time frames and the deadlines, we wanna have a project where we can actually go out and award. So we're gonna do several alternates. We may even have some taps in there so we can come in and line some of those taps. So that's what this project is. And again, this is funded through the ARPA fund.
Is this gonna be the one like that other gentleman was talking about a couple, last
On
meeting?
Valentine.
Yeah, so that's gonna.
Yes.
Yeah,
cover
that'll
that
address those issues.
Jason, just qualify that, you know, for Mississippi State, they require us to have this contracted, signed before December 31.
Yeah,
So
there's some
getting this
deadlines that we
advertised
have
in
at the end of
paper,
the year to
this is important.
obligate the fund.
Yeah, that's not state, that's federal,
Federal.
federal procurement, or not procurement.
December 31's a
Yeah.
big date.
So Jason, on, your motion, it's just a very general motion. Is there a number attached to this?
The type of number, we've got the project name there.
Okay,
It's like I mean, there might be a grant number, but I don't have it off the top of my head. We can clarify that though.
let's see,
I mean, the ARPA citywide sewer improvement
Yeah.
projects is what has consistently been referred to as. Phase 1 was the videoing, and then phase 2 is the.
And the grant agreements that were tied to this would be really going to your number.
Right.
just whatever, just post whatever.
Yeah, we can add the grant
projects
agreement to the
are.
project
Yeah.
number.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the authorization to advertise for construction bids for the ARPA, that's ARPA, Citywide Sewer Improvement Projects Phase 2.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Hoffman, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman, Seal.
Yeah, see, it's hard, isn't it?
Any discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Go ahead and read your second one, Jason.
Thank you. All right, second motion is for some improvements to Depot Way. This also includes some paving improvements at the community center. These are funds left over from the Gulf Coast Restoration Project for the depot improvements. So what we're looking to do, improve parking along Blaze Avenue right in front of the community center, pave parking, some striping, then also add some parking along Depot Way near the duck pond, repave that in areas that need to be repaired. And also some paving in the intersection around Hancock and Booker Street, or Hancock and Union. Then also paving around St. Stanislaus area for some golf cart parking in that area. So those will probably have a couple alternates as well, just so we can bid the project out, see where the money is. But again, this will be funded through Gulf Coast Restoration Fund.
How much they have?
We're probably a little bit over three something left in that grant. And so
300.
we're looking at this one, yeah.
Motion to approve the authorization. Go ahead.
Got questions. So Jason, on our project list, we have depot parking improvements, SSC lot, 50,000. Community hall blaze parking and drainage improvements, 150,000. Is that both of these?
Part of it. Now, we're not doing the drainage improvement. That project that we listed there for 150 included more parking on the community center property. So we're not changing any sidewalk, just where that gravel area is up front.
Right.
We're gonna improve that.
So this is just a $50,000.
Well, it's,
Well, 50 was the
50,000
parking.
for-
I remember
Yeah.
a while back when we first approved that, y'all.
right, that was around St. Stanislaus. We have an agreement in at least from them.
Because we don't have this on a So
You
just-
should have one, it's like paving Depot Way, and then SSC Community Center parking,
All right, that's
but
what,
maybe that was
that's what I
50.
was just trying to figure out. So I
We're
was
just
looking
doing a
at the-
portion of the community center project. We're not doing any drainage work. I
Do you
think
know how
that
many,
page is only about 30,000.
Do you know how many additional parking spots that's gonna put there at the community center?
Total, well, at the community center alone, it's gonna be probably 6 or 7 parallel spots right off the road. Total, we should have about 40 when you look at what we're doing along Depot Way and Blaze Avenue. And then there'll be several golf cart parking spaces as well.
And it looks like we had that
Designated.
in the
I think we
project
talked
list,
about the corner up there, about
Mhm.
golf cart parking.
but 100,000
Right.
That corner up there.
on the project list.
What number is it?
Line item 16. We're still projecting, it says 100,000 or so, that we're, I know that's all, there's no local match, GCRF.
Yeah, there's no local match for this, we've already exhausted
Yeah.
local match.
Okay, cool.
Everybody good? Okay, a motion to approve
Motion.
authorization to advertise for construction bids for the Depot Way paving project. Motion by Councilman Reed,
Second.
second by Councilman Hoffman. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0.
Okay, thank you.
Third one.
All right, so this is for the Bayou LaCroix Improvements Phase 2. So this is a most grant Mississippi Outdoor Stewardship Trust grant. This is to extend the bulkhead along the north side. So if you recall where the comfort station is, there's a portion of a bulkhead to the parking lot. This will extend that bulkhead all the way across the parking lot, extend a low-level pier for additional docking space, and then a kayak ramp for accessing the waterway for kayak. This is a $150,000 grant
Is that
project.
that little canal on the side?
That little canal, that's
Okay,
right.
'cause
Yeah.
north is actually, okay, I got you.
So it's on that little canal side.
No local match.
No. We used our previous grants that we had done on the project, 1.3 million is our local.
How much is this one?
150.
150.
Okay. Any other discussion? Motion to approve authorization to advertise for construction bids for the Bayou LaCroix Phase 2 project.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Hoffman. I'll second. Motion, any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Go ahead with your fourth one.
Thank you for that one. All right, fourth one is for the proposed water well. So we have all the comments addressed from Department of Health. We have authorization to move forward with that project. This is a $2.6 million grant from Department of Health. It started off as a loan, but we qualified high enough so that they gave us 100% forgiveness for the fund. So this is to put in a 2,000-foot, 1,500-gallon per minute well on the city's yard, St. Francis and Booker Street in that area. Lost
Is there
my
gonna be
area.
a tower there, or is that
No
just?
tower, this is just a well. We've got a 10-inch line
Working on a tank.
Yeah, we submitted for a tank, but it's been approved yet. So this is just gonna be for the well and a new line tying into Booker Street.
Okay. Doug, I'm congratulate you. You found this one. This was a good one.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Then it's a forgivable loan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've allocated the,
100%. People don't realize, but we're a somewhat impoverished community. Because our economics, median income's $45,000, so therefore we are eligible for grants like this. We just go out and get them.
Good.
So that's how we got this one.
Okay, motion to approve the authorization to advertise for construction bids for a new water well project.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Reed,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Davis. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Go ahead with your last one.
All right, so this is just a motion to approve the substantial completion for the pickleball court. There were a couple items that we were still waiting on once we did the walkthrough, some light pole base covers, which they've installed those. We have the O&M manuals that they gave us today, so we'll turn all that over to the administration. It has all the care requirements for the court, any kind of preservation, maintenance on the court because of the striping and fancy paint they had to put on it. So this is just the substantial completion for that. We will follow up at the next meeting with the final pay app and the closeout document. We can start looking at dates.
Okay. Motion to approve pickleball court certificate of substantial completion.
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Hoffman,
Second.
second, Councilman Seal. Any discussion?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen those courts vacant yet.
Yes.
Full all of
There was 8 people out on one out.
Early morning, late night, yeah.
Playing double.
No discussion, vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0. And one other thing about that, Mike, I know you said something about cutting them off at a certain time, but I passed by there 11 o'clock on Friday and it was packed. As long as everybody's being good, I mean,
Yeah, we'll
no
watch the
complaints.
noise and I'll see if we get any complaints, whatever.
Nothing so far from neighbors and that, because I know
Nah.
that can be sometimes loud, but
Well, that was a concern, you know, whether or not, I guess the good thing on that side right now, the, storage sheds is
Storage
across
shed,
the street, you know, and,
the
and,
Echo,
yeah,
I tell you, it's a amazing.
they're being utilized and hopefully we can move forward with some more coming up.
Jason, you got,
That's it, unless y'all have any other questions on any of the other
yeah,
projects.
how's Sienna Street coming? I mean, the weather's been great. They must
Yeah,
be-
they're working, they're making really good progress on the ditches on Sienna and Benigno. We've got some information from the contractor on ditch A, trying to get it cleaned out. You know, there's gonna be probably some additional cost to get in there with some different equipment to remove that sediment, so we're working with them on that. And we may have to have a permit modification on that as well, so we may have to just pull that phase out of this one and come back and maybe look at rebidding that later on, because it could take a while. There's a lot of wetlands we gotta go through for that, to remove all that sediment, so. But the work on Sienna Lane, I think, is going well as what, and Benigno.
And what about the beaver dams upstream? I mean, are those gonna be cleared out?
I think those have been cleared out before.
Yeah, Jamie usually takes care of them on a regular basis, but they probably build them back overnight or two, but for the most part, he'll go back.
Eager
in there.
beavers, man.
Jason, that's a Watts Bayou you're talking about having to go back and
Right.
look at.
Yeah, that would definitely take a permit modification to get it.
So it's gonna flow all the way out to the main drain, all the way out to the river, right?
Yeah, that's the direction of flow. And once it gets past Kingston, I mean, it really just opens up. There's really no designated ditch through there.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
real
kinda
flat. It's like,
flat.
it's basically a floodplain is what it is.
Gotcha. I just wanna make sure that when we get those heavy rains in spring, that
Yeah.
it goes.
We've seen it move. There's still some sediment that we would like to remove to help it move quicker. But again, that's probably gonna take a permit modification and some different type of equipment, just because the way that the wetlands are.
So the equipment and modifications, I mean, that wasn't looked at when they came in there and bid the job?
No, because it was set up the way the permit was written. The permit only allowed to de-snag and remove trees and trash and stuff in that area, not necessarily the sediment. Once they got in there and they opened it up, they removed that, we could actually see what was going on. There's a lot of sediment, the bottom goes up and down like this, so, that's what we're working on, different ways to get that out. There's wetlands on both sides of the ditch, so the easy way would be just to dig it out and put it right on the side. Can't do that without going through the proper channel, so, we also looked at just
Have y'all
kind of.
started the proper channels thing?
No, not yet. We just got the price from the contractor to go through and do that. So we're talking to him about what that's gonna entail, how long it's gonna take, things like that. One option that we looked at was just taking it and trying to blade it out or grade it as much as we can in the channel. So we're not actually removing anything, we're just taking a high spot, knocking them down. That'll help a lot of it flow, but it still won't get it cleaned out as much as we'd like. So a couple different options, and it might even be something that the county could do. Get in, now that they've opened it up a good bit near Kingston, might be able to get in there with the county equipment, clean some of that out. So, still working on a couple of different options to move forward.
So there was a contractor working on Watts Bayou, not the county? Clean out?
My understanding was it was the county that went in.
That's what- Okay.
Yeah.
So we just, the county, looks like we did something, we'd have to do a permit modification to get it cleaned.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Jason, with the notice to proceed, with buyers in Washington, is there a deadline? With the notice to proceed, is there a deadline that when they have to be finished?
There is, Washington, I believe that's a 30-day contract, and the way MDOT does their contract, it's a productive day. So if they're working on sidewalks, walkways, parking, things that are productive, then we charge them for that. If they're just kind of cleaning up or getting ready for, say, a weekend or finishing up some work, then we don't charge them for that. So if there's a rain day or an inclement weather day, we can't charge them for that either. So just because they're starting on November 4th doesn't mean they have to be finished by December 4th. MDOT also has
once you get into December, January, and February, there are only certain days that MDOT will count for working on during that time frame. So they look at the whole state, they say, well, we have bad weather during those days, there's a lot of rain, so you're only gonna get about 7 or 8 productive days in December. Same in January, same in February. So while down here it doesn't really affect us, that's how their contracts are set up. The Buyer Drive project is obviously gonna be longer. I think that's about a 4-month contract, or about 120 days, just because there's a lot more work. And we've asked them to start on Washington Street, get that over with, because it's a pretty simple project. But I'm waiting to hear back from the contractor where they're actually gonna start.
Is it the same contractor?
Same contractor on both jobs. 2 separate projects, 2 separate MDOT jobs, 2 separate contracts, but same contractor, which is really gonna help out, I think. So once we have more, definitive time frame, then we'll get that to the city so they can start talking about road closures and get some announcements out to all the public.
Getting closer.
Never been this close before.
I know, right?
Exactly.
Sprint to the finish.
Anybody got anything else?
Nope.
All righty, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Voted on Buyer Drive in 2016.
Oh, Jason, one other thing. When's,
Gotta run fast.
harbor repairs gonna start?
Good question, good.
We have the hurricane repairs, a tentative notice to proceed for December 2nd with the contractor. We're still waiting on some of the funding and all that, those processes to take place, but he said December 2nd should be a good time for him to get started.
And what about the dredging?
The dredging, we feel like we're close to getting a permit finally. We changed the disposal site from the beach by the railroad tracks because the court would not allow the material from the harbor to be placed on the beach, even though the material in the harbor came from the beach on the north side. So they said it doesn't qualify for beach renourishment. So we contacted Harrison County Development Commission. They have a site in Bayou Portage, so we can bring it over there. It's gonna cost more. There's a tipping fee that the contractor has to pay, but that's all money that FEMA will have to cover.
Okay.
So once we get the permit on that, we may be able to ask for authorization at the meeting in November to advertise for that. And the plans and specs are ready. I just don't know when we're gonna actually get that permit. So I don't wanna go too far out ahead of that.
All right.
Could we get authorization pending the receipt of a permit? Good. We will. Just to keep us where, yeah, and we're not losing a couple of weeks here and there. We can look at that. Something to think about.
And
How long
one
is it
last
total?
one, the Ramonita Street sewer improvements. It says your final design's complete, ready to award.
Yeah, that's been submitted to DEQ for probably at least 6 months, waiting on comments. They have to give us a notice, an authorization to advertise, because it's DEQ restore funded. So we're just waiting on them.
Those restore projects move very slowly.
Not as slow as Buyer Street.
It's a close
We'll see,
second.
we'll see.
Yeah. We're getting there.
All right, I'm good.
On that harbor stuff, Jason, how long is that projected to take?
That's gonna be about a 12-month contract. A lot of that is getting the material. The sheets that they have to have fabricated for that south wall are gonna take several months to get. So a lot of that's not gonna be, just them waiting around. They'll probably get started on some of the other repairs and come and do that south end.
How is that gonna affect the use of the harbor during that time? Is it just gonna affect one area, or is it gonna affect,
Primarily just the parking area, the south end parking. They'll have to shut down a lot of that for their laydown area, and because the wall that they have to install, they have to tear out half of that parking lot to get the system in place.
it's gonna affect mainly the parking lot, the parking
Just mainly
area?
the parking lot.
Not
Shouldn't
so
really
much the
affect,
slips and
yeah.
the slip owner accident, but
They should be able to, all the repairs they have to make around the slip, they should be able to do that with the boaters there.
thank you.
All righty, thank you.
Was emanated out of the mouth of Jerry
That's right.
Okay, moving along here.
Right along.
Recognize that voice.
Let's see. City clerk's report.
You ready, Gary? Go.
No, actually, I wanna talk about that transfer you wanna do for $622,000. What projects is that? I'd like a list of the projects that money's expected to cover.
I can get you that.
Could you get that for the next meeting or whenever?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, that was, the 622 is what was budgeted in FY '25 to move from municipal fund to the capital projects fund. Our auditor last year said we're not supposed to be
Yeah, I
paying for
understand that.
projects, blah, 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 blah. So that was just the total amount to his one-time transfer. The discussion I had today with Gary was, do we have to do it all at once, or can we do it like
As the projects
as
come up.
needed, and which we can. So if, you know,
That's what I
if
prefer.
we wanted to, the council could decide, remove that one line item, that one check, and then approve the rest of the docket. It would also, on the consent agenda, the transfer item is in there as well. That way you'll have documentation.
Yeah,
of
so what I would like
so
you to come back with,
y'all
take
can
it
do
out,
that.
and come back with the list of the projects that funding is supposed to cover.
Okay.
So that I can keep track of it, and other council people can. keep
Okay,
track.
I have a spreadsheet on that.
Okay.
For the, when we did the budget, I have that whole, all the
Yeah.
projects and what funds they come out of.
Okay, if you would, bring that to the next meeting,
but if-
go ahead and pull it out for now.
So if you pull it out, you would be approving a docket of $781,388,071.
Could you, I tell you what, can you repeat that number?
Yes, I can.
'Cause that one's a tough number.
I did the math at the office before I came.
Let me see. I'm sorry, I lost my sheet.
Tell
What's
me
that
when you're
number
ready.
again, Mike?
781, comma, 388.71.
Got it. And that's for the,
That's just removing the one item that's a transfer from municipal reserve fund to the capital project fund for $622,200. So it's a check written to ourselves.
So even if it's moved, everything still has to go through approval?
If we're moving money between
everything.
funds, we actually have to write a check from one checkbook to the other, which the council has to approve those checks.
Or whatever account the money goes to and comes out, when it comes out, still has to be approved.
okay, I'm with you, Mike. All right, so we,
Got the total?
motion to approve docket of claims 24-051 in the amount of $781,388.71.
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Seal,
Second.
second Councilman, Lewis. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, carries 6-0. Second item, council business, motion to approve docket of claims special 24-053 in amount of $4,273.50 dated October 22nd, 2024.
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Seal,
Second.
second Councilman Davis. Any discussion? No, vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0, sorry. Let's see, what else we got? On the Blue Cross thing, are y'all expected premiums to change any?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
Yeah, if you looked on it, that was, that's their annual renewal starting January 1, which we get always around this time. And that has a 25% premium increase. Last year, we had a 35% decrease, so we're still lower than we were 2 years ago. So they gave us a big break last year.
Yeah,
We had a major claim over this last year, so our, I don't know if you call it a loss ratio, I'm not. in
yeah,
health
we're like
insurance term, but
160% of what it is.
significant this year.
And all, and it got negotiated down to, I think it's, what is it, 30?
25.
25.
What, they wanted 30.
25% there, and I don't have the final numbers on me, but I think we're still well below
It's
what
in
we
there.
was 2 years ago.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is still.
I think
low.
we was
The
at
trend
400.
is still very
It was
high.
high.
And that's still with $1,000 deductible
That's
for our
still
employees.
keeping our deductible and everything in place and everything, so.
If you remember last year, since I've been here at least, we went from a $3,000 deductible to a $1,000 deductible, because y'all had to do that at some point over the last 5 or so years. You had to change your deductibles. When we got that reduction, that was one number we were able to play with to give back to our employees and still keep the premium where it was good for us.
Yeah. The premium's $358.37 this year. I think 2 years ago it was almost $500.
Or something, up
Four something.
mid to upper
Yeah.
400.
For the
Yeah.
employee only, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just that one was probably about $100 or so different.
You know, when they
higher
reduced it,
than what-
we
than
knew it wouldn't last forever, but
Right.
we did get a real good year, and we're still doing good, so.
All right, anybody got anything on the consent agenda?
I would just, remove item 38, which has to do with the interfund transfers. That
Gotcha.
was dealing with that last payable.
Okay.
Motion to approve consent agenda minus item 38.
Got a motion, Councilman Seal, to approve consent agenda, removing item 38.
Second.
Second, Councilman Hoffman. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 7-0. 6-0. I guess Josh is up here somewhere.
You would see him if you was here.
Okay,
He
Mike,
called him
pull up the
Jack.
cash balances. Please. You got it? So.
Yeah, I just got the report you gave today.
So, you know, just over time, it's gotten extremely confusing looking. Can you explain, if you can?
Yes, I've said this once before, maybe twice. I hate this report. It's extremely time-consuming to prepare. And over the years, from what I have understood from conversations, there's been different requests to add different stuff and different information, which just means it goes like this. Every number in there has to be hand-typed in. So at anytime somebody touches a keyboard, you gotta go and click, run numbers off, hit a decimal. To me, too many room for errors. And I'm not pointing to say there's any errors, I'm just, it just creates, I would much rather give y'all and say, here's a copy of the bank statements every month, here's the cash balances that we have. Or a balance sheet coming straight out of Encode that can possibly be created. Because this is manually done in an Excel.
This, because I can
Yeah.
see the balances and
And so-
I see what each fund has.
But it's
But I'm
like, here's the
talking-
before, there's your docket removing, and then there's kind of the ending balance after you paid your bills tonight. And then it's got into, okay, well, how much are we expecting to get from grants that are out there, you know, and reimbursables? And it's what's anticipated. We don't know when we're getting those FEMA funds, or we don't know when that, you know, and usually, again, entitlements come in pretty quick. But it's projects we're putting money out for, and then we're waiting to get it back. So there's just a lot of numbers that take twice a month for this to be able to be created. It has to be done like after we pay the docket too. So we
So-
generally have the docket done. We tell everybody we want the bills in on Wednesday, you know, so then docket's done on Thursday.
So I guess what I'm getting at, so I look at the harbor special grants thing, and it says it's 310,000 in the negative. So what are you expecting back from that to make that account whole again? Because it's like 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them.
Yeah, on that it's interfund loans basically.
So you wait for reimbursements?
They don't have to be paid back all at one time, is that the thing? So when you say an interfund loan, and you're
Yeah,
showing as a negative 310,000, that 310,000 doesn't have to come out at one time, it gets paid back over time as the harbor collects funds?
Correct, or as grants, things coming back into us, into the city.
So it's not,
So
I
it's not a
guess
true,
we don't get a
your
report.
cash balance, your true
Not
bank
true
balance is
report.
26,000. But you've got these other transactions between funds that happen, so you're waiting on other funds to come back.
gotcha. So
That's
realistically,
why I say it's
our true
extremely
cash
confusing.
balance right now
It's 26,000.
The after, well, in that one thing, but the after column, the third column is what we have on hand currently.
Correct.
That's expected after
After you pay these bills.
No.
So that after
talking about
column
the
is
first
after you
one,
paid your
expected.
docket tonight.
Just the before docket and after.
After,
I'm talking about
yeah.
just the after column. That's what we actually have.
26, 732, whatever it is, 80.
Again, this cash balance also takes into factors in that 622,000 that needs to come out.
I was
that
also
wasn't
looking
done.
at
We did that last minute.
the utility operating fund. It's holding at 1.3 million. I think we should move some money to utility capital and maintenance. Anybody have a problem with that?
What do we average on that? I mean, we're, after the docs are 247, so I mean, if that's what we typically average.
I'm sorry.
So I mean, as long as we need enough for operating.
Oh, absolutely.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, I mean, that's.
Yeah, I'm not
that's-
saying drain the fund. I'm just saying some, maybe 500,000 ought to be moved from that and moved over into the capital maintenance, because that's where we have to fix stuff when we have emergencies and things.
If you will, if y'all would let us come back with a recommendation at the next meeting, because we can look at also, what did we budget to move from operating to capital? Because there is some of that in there, so if you want, we can come back at next meeting and have a
That's fine.
transaction for you.
Yeah. that'd be
Caitlin,
good.
go ahead and put that on there for discussion. And did you figure out what the carryover is, or what our surplus is?
I did not run that report. In our budget, we used, I think it was, I wanted to say it was like 200-something thousand that we actually carried forward into this year's budget. The actual surplus of last year, I didn't have,
Okay,
run
that has
that. I
to be
didn't run that, but I'll get
reallocated.
it for you.
Okay.
Now, again, you can expense things up to October 31 into last fiscal
Correct.
year. So this docket should basically put all that, any expenses that were in last fiscal year. So that should clean that up. But again, once I run that income statement, we should be able to see exactly what, I'm gonna call it net profit from a business perspective.
And also, how's the audit coming with AVL?
I actually emailed them today, I think it's Maria, and just asked, hey, how are things coming, what information are you still missing? Blah, blah. She did send me a list of several items we still have to get to them. So there's some things that I've got to get on tomorrow.
Okay.
But I just got that today. I did send that email today.
Also, have we
Just
been
a
doing
coincidence.
a inventory of all our stuff, because that's always a ding.
Are you talking about capital?
No,
Like equipment?
Yeah.
Equipment
Yeah.
inventory.
I think last
Yeah,
year
Kim's
we-
all over that.
I think last
Yeah.
year we didn't have anything, any dings on that. Hopefully, we're still.
So all our equipment's accounted for and listed and tagged or whatever.
Tagged and in code, yeah.
They would keep changing the rules, right? Every shovel used to have a dang gum sticker
Yeah.
on it, right? Every chair, and then they finally realized that it was
X
really,
amount of dollars.
yeah, it really
and this
wasn't
and that.
lucrative to,
250 or 500.
yeah, so now it's a reasonable amount that you gotta tag.
Anybody else got anything?
Nope.
Okay, attorney's report?
Do we need to spread the,
The reports.
report?
You gotta spread the, cash balance.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Spread the report.
Motion to spread, I missed, payroll hours report, cash balances, revenue report, grant and intergovernmental report, detailed grant revenue report, revenue and expense report, gaming and sales tax on the minutes. A motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Seal.
Second.
Second, Councilman Reed. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Attorney's report.
So what you should all have with you is a, copy of a Chancery Court action. No action needs to be taken on this today. We will probably have some sort of agreed order at the next meeting, but I wanted you all to know about it just because it does name the city of Bay St. Louis as a defendant. What it is back in, I want to say July, the city of Pass Christian passed an ordinance that, will annex a small area over there. But with that, it is within 3 miles of the Bay St. Louis city limits. Therefore, they have to name us as a defendant. So I would not, anticipate that you guys would be opposed to Pass Christian annexing what they're wanting to annex. But I wanted to make sure you're aware of it. Like I said, just because if it pops up, it says City of Pass Christian versus City of Bay St. Louis. I didn't want anybody to call y'all and say, what's this lawsuit out there? And you not know about it. So if you have anything to say about it, please call me before the next meeting. But at the next meeting, I'll probably have some sort of agreed to order to present to you guys.
They're
sign
just,
off on.
they're just taking the Henderson Point in the Sandy Hook area, the stuff that was outside the city limits currently. But
Does it go
on
that
that,
far?
Like a
on that
one
point by the
section
bridge.
property.
I don't think it goes that far, Gene.
It's
No.
like, to me, it's just like one section of
Yeah,
property.
it's one little, it is a, if I remember
Kinda goofy
correctly,
looking.
it is a,
Trying to see if I can,
some sort of little development, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's that, it's not that whole area.
not that whole area.
I do not believe it is.
I think
no.
they tried that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a, I mean, it's just one little
Okay.
proposed I mean, it's like one little
I got to the
square
map at the
by
bottom here.
Yeah.
Everett and whatever.
Kinda weird, why was it left out, I wonder?
I don't know, and I'd be lying if I said I'd
Yeah, 'cause
taken the
it's-
time to try to figure it out.
It's right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, just that little
If I
square.
wanna figure it out.
Yeah, like, you're not gonna annex my land, you know, okay, well,
Yeah.
fine.
Is that it?
I think
That's all I have.
All right, anybody got anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Councilman Reed, second, Councilman Hoffman, vote motion.
Aye.
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 No, yes.
6-0. See y'all, remember, next one, it will be
November
gavel in
5th,
and out.
we'll gavel in and out.